So finally, Chuck Schumer is finally going to pass a new spending bill, and there's a brand new stimulus relief package that includes a new batch of stimulus checks. We are finally seeing big action being taken by lawmakers in Congress. The number 3 Senate Republican warned Joe Manchin against throwing his support behind a tax, climate, and prescription pricing package. Senate Republican John Barrasso, in an interview on Fox, criticized Democrats' push to pass a slimmed-down version of their signature spending bill. Now, John Barrasso, in an interview on Fox, criticized the Democrats' push to pass a slimmed-down version of their signature spending bill. Barrasso said to my friend Joe Manchin from West Virginia, whose vote is going to be necessary for this, I would remind him that Joe Biden's popularity in that state is as low as it is in Wyoming. Joe should not walk the plank for Joe Biden. Now, Senator Manchin has been in discussions with Chuck Schumer on a slimmer package, and Schumer is expected to move quickly to consider the bill this month if a deal with Manchin can be finalized in time. The talks are concentrated on legislation that would generate $1 trillion in revenue to divide equally between deficit reduction and health and energy spending. The legislation also would include prescription pricing reform. The package would be considered under budget processes known as reconciliation, and that bypassed the Senate filibuster's rule and would allow Democrats to pass the package everybody with, provided the entire caucus supports it. The legislation will face unified GOP opposition. Senator Barrasso said the package is not the solution that American people are looking for amid decades-high inflation. Now, Mitch McConnell has also threatened to tank a separate bipartisan competition bill that would provide billions of dollars in benefits for U.S. microchip manufacturing if Democrats follow through with the party-line spending push. The legislation is still being ironed out by House and Senate negotiators, and Democrats so far have brushed off the criticism. In a separate interview on Fox News, the Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin of Illinois criticized McConnell's threat to tank key semiconductor subsidies over the prescription pricing push. Manchin and Schumer have worked out a proposal to impose a 3.8% tax on individuals earning more than $400,000, but couples earning more than $500,000 from pass-through businesses. Then they will give the legislative language to the Senate parliamentarian to review. The $203 billion raised would extend the solvency of Medicare's hospital fund from 2028 to 2031, and multiple states have already approved new stimulus packages to ease residents and their economic concerns, and some states are planning to begin sending out more payments in the coming months. The new round of economic stimulus payments comes shortly after the U.S. experienced its largest 12-month increase in the inflation since 1981.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Now, Mitch McConnell just made a new announcement on stimulus checks. After much pressure, the Biden administration is literally pushing for a fourth round of checks. Now, over a year, lawmakers and businesses have been complaining on how they can't find workers. During an event this week, Mitch McConnell offered his own theory as to why the labor shortage is still continuing. McConnell said you've got a lot of people sitting on the sidelines because of stimulus checks. What we got to hope is that they'll start concluding it's better to work than not to work. But everybody, economists have identified a multitude of reasons for the labor shortage. People moved away from locations with open positions. Parents haven't been able to return to work, and as they deal with the ongoing crisis, other roles might open up. Now, these reasons possibly suggest solutions other than McConnell's plan to wait out savings. Businesses could offer higher wages and more flexible workplaces, and even tweak job descriptions and requirements to attract a larger amount of people and potential employees. According to CNN, Americans built up a huge amount of savings during the crisis, thanks to several rescue packages. Analysts have estimated that the households built up an extra cash cushion totaling $2.6 trillion from the beginning of the crisis through the end of 2021. In the meantime, the labor market has seen a robust recovery, with jobs set to fully recover by this summer. The employment population ratio for Americans ages 25 to 54 has crept above July 2019 levels. According to the data from the St. Louis Reserve, unemployment sits at a historic low of 3.6%. And while the past year, Americans have been quitting at near record highs, hiring and job openings remain strong, and that indicates that many people are quitting for higher paying jobs instead of the low paying ones. In Mitch McConnell's home state of Kentucky, it was briefly the epicenter of the Great Resignation. The sheer number of workers quitting and leaving the workforce was powered by structural conditions that existed before the crisis. And now this week, in a county, legislators voted unanimously to approve a one-time $200 stimulus payment For senior citizens who qualified for the enhanced school tax relief property tax exemption. Now, according to county officials, homeowners can expect to receive the checks at the end of the year. The Senior Household Stimulus Program was also proposed by the county's executive, Ryan McMahon. The goal of the program is to help senior citizens recover financially from the crisis and ease the burden of the economic downturn. The program, financed through the county's fund balance, is estimated to cost around $5.5 million. County lawmakers believe around $27,000 county homeowners qualify for enhanced school tax relief and will receive around $200. County legislator Peggy Chase also says the checks will help seniors on fixed income, especially as home assessments and taxes continue to rise. But Democratic legislators William Kinney said he supports the stimulus program for seniors, but is encouraging county officials to meet the needs of other groups, specifically those who have lower income.
Oil companies and food companies are making record-breaking profits. The American people are sick and tired of struggling to pay for the basic necessities of life, while at the same time, 700 billionaires in this country became $2 trillion richer during the pandemic. And income and wealth inequality today is worse than it has been for 100 years. People on top doing phenomenally well, middle class working families falling further and further behind. The American people are sick and tired of seeing multi-billionaires like Mr. Musk and Mr. Bezos and Mr. Branson taking joyrides to outer space in their spaceships, buying $500 million super yachts and living in mansions all over the world, while some 600,000 people in our country are homeless. In other words, we're looking at two worlds. People on top never did better. Middle class continuing to decline, and the poor living in abysmal conditions. And in the midst of all of this, the American people want Congress, want their elected officials to address corporate greed, to address income and wealth inequality, and end a tax system in which some of the wealthiest people in this country in a given year do not pay a nickel in federal taxes, where large profitable corporations do not pay a nickel in federal taxes. And they want a tax system which is fair, where the wealthy and large corporations pay their share. Madam President, the last poll that I saw had Congress, United States Congress, with a